Stephanie here with a video for My Favorite Things. In today's video, we are going to be recreating a card that design team member Torico created, and we're going to be using new products from the February 2017 release. So to start off, I am going to create the grass area on this fun farm scene card. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the new denim background stamp and I'm adding some sour apple ink to this entire background. And then I'm going to take the same color of cardstock, sour apple, and I'm going to lay it right on top of the stamp and kind of press down and completely transfer that image over to my cardstock. And what that's going to do is give me this really fun textured look. Even though it's denim, it's not limited to just creating something that's supposed to look like denim. It's a really great subtle background stamp just to add a little bit of tone on tone detail onto your background pieces. So this card design has two different hills that are going to create our scene. So I'm using the Stitch Snowdrifts dynamics as well as the Hit the Slopes dynamics, and I'm going to run this panel through my die cutting machine and give both of these pieces a nice edge. And then I've also folded and got my card base ready. This is blue raspberry cardstock. And then to finish off the front panel, which is going to be our slider portion, I used the same Hit the Slopes dynamics, and I used the coordinating channel that goes with the edge that we used, and I went ahead and cut the channel opening out of the front panel, and then I also stamped the sentiment directly onto that panel, and then we can go ahead and start to assemble the card. So I already stamped and colored and die cut all of the images that we're going to be using just to save a little bit of time. So I just stamped them all on white cardstock and colored them in with Copic markers, and now I'm getting ready to create the slider portion on the card. So to do that, I have the Surf and Turf dynamics, and I just cut out the little circles that come in with that set. So I cut out 4 of them in total. And then I also have 2 of the little slider element discs. These are little plastic discs that work perfectly to create the slider portion on the card. So I'm using some matte multi-medium, and I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue to the center area of one of those paper circles. And then I'm going to add the little plastic slider element right on top of that glue, and I'm going to let it sit there for a minute to kind of let the glue settle. And then once I have that done, I'm going to place both of those pieces underneath of my cardstock panel, and I'm going to add more glue to the top of the little slider piece, and then I'm going to take the second 2 circles that we had die cut and I'm going to add those on top. And that's going to sandwich everything together and create our little slider pieces that are going to be able to move through this channel. So once you do this part, you just want to let this sit and dry and make sure it's fully dry before you start to assemble the card. So while that's finishing drying, I'm going to go ahead and finish getting my images ready to go on the card. So I'm adding this little piece in between the horse and the wagon, and this is just going to join them together and make it look like the horse is actually pulling on the wagon. So I love that the die set comes with this little piece on its own so that you can add this. So I'm just using some regular adhesive on the ends of that little piece there, and then I'm putting it in between the 2 and adding it on there. So they're all ready to go, and that's what's going to go on our slider portion on the card. So to create the scene part, I need to put the back layer of grass on first, and I need to make sure that I position it so that I have complete green in behind the slider opening. You just want to make sure that you have the same color underneath of it that you actually have it cut out of so that it looks as seamless as possible. So once I got the background piece put on there, I can go ahead and add the foam adhesive to put this piece on. So when I create the slider channel, I like to use 2 layers of foam adhesive. This adhesive that I use is kind of thinner, and I just like to make sure that there's enough room for these little slider pieces to really move nicely through that channel. So I'm just laying down my initial layer of foam adhesive, and then I'm just putting a second layer on top, and I'm making sure that I don't have any foam adhesive going too close to that channel opening, because I don't want any of the adhesive to stop those little discs from moving freely through there. So once I have the adhesive on, I'm just going to kind of position it, make sure everything is fitting okay, and then I'm going to take off all the backing pieces and go ahead and add this to the card. So you just want to make sure that when you line it up that everything is perfectly lined up and that you, like I mentioned earlier, that you have the slider channel opening directly over the same color of cardstock that you die cut the opening from. So now that we have the background all finished and the slider pieces are ready to go, we can add everything to the card. So I put some adhesive onto both of those little slide discs, and I added the horse and the buggy onto those so you can see how cute it is to see them move up and down that little channel area. Just a really fun interactive card design. And then we can go ahead now and add all the background pieces. So I put the clouds on, and then I added the little trees. So I have one at the top of the hill and then one in the lower area of the hill. And then the little cow is going to go up in the left corner there with that one tree. And then I'm going to go ahead and add all of the little ducks or chicks or birds or whatever these little guys are. We're going to add all of these guys directly onto the card base. So I'm just kind of positioning them where I want them to kind of be. I like that when the horse and buggy are kind of in the center area of the card, you can see all of the elements. But when they move back and forth, some of the elements do get covered up a tiny bit, but I just think that adds the realism of the scene. And then once that's done, the card is finished, and we have this great interactive farm scene created with the new Farm Friends stamp set and coordinating dynamics, along with a lot of our slider channel dies. So thanks so much to Torico for creating this awesome card design. If you would like to check out more classes from this release, please check out the videos on the screen. And as always, I appreciate you being here, and I thank you so much for watching today's video.